Hey there, in last video we saw hard disks in the secondary storage devices, how there are the different types of hard disks were there, and we saw them one by one. And in this particular video we will be focusing on the optical disks in the secondary storage devices. What are these optical disks, and what is their functionality, how we can read and write data into them, and so on. So if I tell you about the optical disks, optical disk storage system consists of a metallic, or we can say a plastic disk coated with highly reflective material. First of all, I will show you the how optical disk is looking like. This is an optical disk, this circular thing, and this is usually consists of a metallic, or we can say a plastic disk. It's highly coated with the reflective material. Okay, it uses laser beam technology from for reading or writing the data from or to disk surface. Okay, optical disks are also known as laser disks, or we call them optical laser disks, because they use laser beam technology for data read or data write. So laser beams are particularly using to read or write data from or to the optical disk. Okay, so let me talk about the organization of the optical disk. What is it? Okay, look, unlike magnetic disks having several concentric tracks, an optical disc in the other hand has only one track starting at the outer edge of the spiraling inwards to the center. It's spiraling like this. I will explain it later on. Okay, spiral track is ideal for reading large blocks of sequential data, such as audio. There could be a video. It, however, causes a slow random access of a data than in the case of the concentric tracks used by the magnetic tapes. Okay, there is a completely a different pattern over here. Look, if we see this one, this is the track pattern of an optical disc, and this is the track pattern of a magnetic disc. In magnetic disc we have a separate tracks for on the disc, and in case of the optical disc we have a spiral case. That means it's only one track over in the optical disc. Okay, so there what happens here, it helps us to achieve a sequential data having a huge size. The spiral track, this is ideal for reading large block of sequential data. These large block of sequential data such as audios could be there, or videos, and it however has a slow access. Because of this only one track, this leads to the slow access of it. Okay, this was a little organization of optical discs, how optical discs are looking like. Now we will be talking about the storage capacity, how we can calculate the storage of an optical disc. In a last video we saw about the magnetic discs, how we can calculate it, but in this case we will be talking about the optical discs. Okay, so how we can calculate the storage capacity? Look, storage capacity of an optical disc is always equal to the number of sectors multiplied by number of bytes per sector. That means there is no concept of track. There was a concept of track in magnetic discs, but in case of magnetic these optical discs, we don't have any concept of tracks. Okay, we only have number of sectors over here and the number of bytes per sector. This leads to the total capacity of a optical disc. Let me have an example over here so that it becomes more clear to us. Okay, if we have a 5.25 inch of an optical disc here, okay, it typically has 33,000 sectors, and each sector having 2352 bytes, making its storage capacity equal to the 3300 multiplied by 2352 in each case, and it is going to become like 776 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 6, and we know 10 raised to the power 6 is mega, and that means it is 776 megabytes unformatted capacity. That means after formatting it, it will become approximately 550 MB, which is usable to us, and this is the total capacity. We can calculate any capacity of an optical disc. Okay, so access mechanism, how we can access data in case of an optical disc. Okay, an optical disc drive uses laser beam technology. Okay, you have to make a note of this thing. It uses the laser beam technology for reading or writing of data from or to on optical disk surface. It has two laser beam sources. I am going to show you the image over here. Look, two laser beam sources. Okay, this is the laser beam source, this is a sensor where it sends data. Okay, uh, all right, so it uses one laser beam of a greater intensity to write the data by etching microscopic pits on the disk surface, and another laser beam which is of a low intensity to read the data from the light sensitive disk surface to write the data. It turns the laser beam on and off at a varying rate, due to which tiny pits, okay, those tiny pits visible only through the powerful microscope, those tiny pits can be visible, are burnt into the metallic coating of a disk surface along its tracks. Okay, these are the tracks over here. To read data, it focuses the less powerful laser beam on the disk surface. Okay, less powerful laser beam on the disk surface. This beam is strongly reflected by the coated surface. Right now this beam is strongly reflected by the coated surface known as land. This strongly, where it strongly reflects it back, this portion is called a land. This is the land. And similarly, and weakly reflected, these are the weakly reflected by the burnt surfaces, these are called the pits. Okay, and where there is no exact the more intensified reflection is not in this case. That means this sensor cannot sense the reflected laser beam. Okay, thus it producing the pattern, in this case like on and off reflections. Okay, which converted into the electric signal of the binary ones and zeros by the sensor. These ones and zeros are detecting by these sensors. Look, if we are getting this laser beam completely reflected back, okay, completely reflected back to the sensor, that means the sensor considers it as a 1. Okay, and in this case where there is no fully reflection of the laser beam and this sensor cannot detect it in a proper way, thus in this case 0 is considered in this case. Okay, and hence from this surface, the pattern of ones and zeros can be easily be accumulated. Okay, yeah, we have types of optical disks over here. We will see them one by one. What are the different types of these optical disks and what are their particular and specific functionality in this case. Okay, first of all, we have a CD-ROM, that's a compact disk read-only memory. Secondly, we have a worm CD, which is write once and read many. Third is CD, RW, read write, and DVD, digital versatile disk, and all are the explained over here. Look, in the case of compact disk, this is a read-only memory. Make a note of this thing, read-only memory. That means once it is already being written by someone and we only can read the data from it, we cannot alter it. Okay, in case of worm CD, it's written as a write once and read many. That means we can write it only once, but after that we can read it many times. But once we get an opportunity to read to write it once, okay, only then we can read it. Then we have another type, which is CD-RW, which is read write. That means in this case, this compact disk, in this case CD, this compact disk can be both read or we can write it. Okay, lastly we have a DVD, which is called the digital versatile disk, and it stores the huge data. Okay, this is using for the multimedia and its size is in GBs. All right, okay, so lastly we will be talking about the advantage of these optical disks. First advantage is cost per bit of the storage for the optical disk is very low. Its cost is very low as compared to the other storage, secondary storage devices, and it is ideal for reading large blocks due to the single spiral track, which I have earlier told you that it has a single spiral track. That means we can read the large blocks. Okay, and lastly, it is a very lightweight as compared to the other secondary storage devices. Now we have few limitations over here, and first one is slow speed as compared to hard disks. Obviously it is going to have a slow speed as compared to the others, and secondly, it's a complicated drive mechanism. It has a complicated drive mechanism as compared to the HDDs. HDDs are compact in a sense that they are compacted in a jacket and later on we can just plug and play it. But in this case, in case of the optical disks, we need to have a driver for it. Okay, lastly we can say that they are prone to the scratch, dust and prints. We usually get those prints and those scratch on the optical disks. So this was all about the optical discs so far, and I hope you have understood, you have learnt a very good lecture so far, and you have enjoyed it. So my little request to you is that if you haven't subscribed this channel yet, then make sure to subscribe it soon so that you can stay updated about all the latest upcoming videos. Okay, till then, take care of yourself. Thank you very much.